What's going on, guys? Co from CoSports.com here today, and we are going to talk through the NBA Conference Finals previews from a betting perspective. So the article is posted over at CoSports.com. Get over there and check it out for all of the details. But today, going through quickly and just looking at each series from a high level, and then giving you my prediction for the series. So kicking it off in the Eastern Conference Finals tomorrow night will be the Boston Celtics visiting the Miami Heat. So Celtics are the 2 seed, Heat are the 1 seed. Celtics are coming into this series with some confidence. They did blow a 14-point lead in Game 5 against the Bucks, but they were able to go on the road in Game 6 and win with their backs against the wall, and then they came back with a huge win at home in Game 7 yesterday at the TD Garden. So they also will face the number 1 seed Heat, but the Heat do not present the same challenge that the Bucks did, and that was pretty much Giannis being absolutely unstoppable. No matter what they threw at him, Giannis found his way to the hoop and was just out-physicaling everybody. But the Celtics had great defense. They had red-hot three-point shooting, and if that continues, it's going to be tough for the Heat to beat them. Now, on the flip side, the Heat took care of the Sixers in their previous series. They won that series in 6 games. They've been off for a few extra days. That series ended last Thursday. So the Heat pretty much had the same foundation for success in their series with strong defense and good three-point shooting. But also the Sixers were without Joel Embiid in the first 2 games of that series, and then he was playing in limited fashion for the rest of the series and playing with a broken face. So there's that. Now, these 2 teams did meet in the Eastern Conference Finals 2 years ago. The Heat did win that series in 6 games, but it should be noted that the Celtics had double-digit leads of 14, 17, 20, and 19 in 4 of those 6 games, which they did lose 2 of those, and they won 2 of those games. That was back in the COVID playoff bubble era. So this series should be fun, should be entertaining, but I do look for these games to be slower pace and gritty defensive battles. So looking at the Celtics and the Heat betting odds for this series, the Celtics are favored minus 175 over at BetMGM. You can click the link in the description. You can get over there and you can get up to $1,000 for free to bet on this series. So check that out. And then game 1 of the series tomorrow night, the Heat are favored by 1.5 points. The over-under is set at 203.5, so that really goes to show that the books feel that this series will be a defensive battle with that low team over-under total points. Looking back to the regular season matchups, we're going to go in sequential order. So back in November, the game was played at Miami. Celtics won that game 95-78. January 31st at Boston, Celtics won in a blowout 122-92. And then most recently, March 30th, that game was also played in Boston. The Heat won that one 106-98. So you had the Celtics taking 2 of the 3 games in that series. They covered in both of those games. Obviously, they were blowouts. And then 2 of the 3 games went under the point total that's set for game 1. So where do I think this series is going? I'm going with Celtics in 6. I think that the Celtics really flipped the switch in January, and they have been the best team in the NBA since then. So they do have a history of blowing big leads. They blew big leads in the Eastern Conference Finals against the same Miami Heat team a couple years ago. But Tatum and Brown are just on another level right now. You have to think that they have more experience, even though they blew a couple big leads recently. But they have more experience, and it's their time. They're coming into their prime, and the books are showing the odds. I mean, minus 175. I think the Celtics could take this thing in 5. But I'll say game 6, we'll say the Heat get a couple wins in this series. But defensively, the Celtics have the best defense in the league. They should be even tougher when they get Big Rob Williams back in the lineup for this series, who will help out protecting the rim, but he will also help with rebounds and limiting offensive rebounds for the Heat and easy putbacks. So I think that will go a long way. Boston blew out Miami in 2 of the 3 regular season games, so I think there could be a couple more of those in this series. But all the confidence in the world for the Celtics. They just beat the best player in the world by 28 points in Game 7. So I am going Celtics in 6. If you are looking to get your conference finals tickets, you can get over to Score Big, link in the description. They'll hook you up. Tell them that Cove sent you. Now, on to the Western Conference Finals. We have the Dallas Mavericks at the Golden State Warriors. So getting into this series, we have the 3 and 4 seeds after both of these teams got rid of the 1 and 2 seeds in their previous series. The Mavericks, it wasn't looking good for them. They lost Game 5 by 30, but they bounced back with big wins in both Game 6 and 7. Luka was phenomenal. But he also had some help, which is going to be important for him again in this series. The Warriors were in a battle with the Grizzlies, but they were able to close it out in 6 games. Luckily, the Grizzlies were without Ja Morant, but it should be concerning to the Warriors fans that they, one, got blown out by the Grizzlies without Ja Morant, and then they barely beat them by 3 points in another game. But we'll get into more of that later in the prediction for the series. But it's tough to say for over-unders and what the point totals will look like in these games because they're both capable of lighting up the scoreboard, but they both also rank in the top 5 defensively. So I think each team will have their preference of the pace of play they want to play at, but it'll be interesting to see how this one plays out. You can bet on this series over at Bet Rivers and get up to $250 free. Link in the description. Warriors are favored on the series, minus 235. And then Game 1, Warriors are favored by 5.5 points. Looking at the regular season matchups in sequential order, we go back to January 5th. Game was played in Dallas. Mavericks won that game 99-82. No Klay Thompson. January 25th at Golden State. Warriors won that game 130-92. February 27th at Golden State, Mavericks won 107-101, no Klay Thompson. And then most recently, March 3rd, game was played in Dallas. Mavericks won that one 122-113. So the Mavericks won 3 out of the 4 regular season games, and then they pretty much split on over-unders based on what the Game 1 total is set at, 214.5. So where are we going? Everyone wants to get all over the Warriors and Dub Nation, and they had a huge Game 6 win at home the other night and really looked good closing out the Grizzlies. But I'm going Mavericks in 7 here. So Luka carried the load for the Mavs against the Suns, but other guys were able to step up. Suns were the best team all season long, so to see that the Mavs were able to really come back after that Game 5 loss and blow them out in Game 6 and 7 says a lot about this team. I look for them to really come into this series with some confidence. And then, head-to-head matchups in the regular season, they have beat the Warriors in 3 of the 4 games. Now, I know that Klay Thompson missed 2 of those games, but still the most recent game, the Mavericks were able to get the win. Now, big key to success for Dallas in this series will be that they ranked number 3 in defense when it comes to defending the three-pointer. I got threes on my mind because that's all that the Warriors do, chuck up threes. But they were able to hold the Warriors to 28% and 17% shooting from three-point range in 2 of those games this season. So that is well below their season average of 36.5%. So I'm feeling Luka. I'm feeling the Mavs. I think they have momentum. I think the Warriors were lucky that they did close out the Grizzlies in Game 6 because I honestly feel like if it went back to Memphis for Game 7 that the Grizzlies would have won that series, and that was without their best player. So I feel like, the Warriors are here. They expected to be here, but also so did the Mavs, and the Mavs just went through the best team in the league. And Luka is playing lights out. He's averaged 31.5 points against the Warriors this season, so I don't expect him to slow down. And as long as the role players around him can deliver like they did in the last series, I like the Mavs to win this series in 7. That's what I got. If you want to get in on picks for the individual games each day, get over to cosports.com for more NBA betting previews and predictions. Thank you for watching. Link, subscribe.